have to admit, the one thing I like more than hardcore space adventure is a Dissension in the Decepticon Ranks episode, though I typically prefer a setup that's a little less clumsy than this one. The Triple Changers, Astrotrain, and Blitzwing are hanging out with Starscream one day, and they decide to create a sort of Decepticon Mount Rushmore for some reason. Then they decide that Megatron doesn't belong on the thing. Great sentiment, horrible way to get there. So they put together a plan to take out Megatron, and the Triple Changers quickly determine who their scapegoat is for this little caper.
Well, fooling him was easy. No planet ever lost its orbit, underestimating the stupidity of Starscream.
Ugh. Again, good sentiment, clumsy execution. Don't just throw the word planet in there to sound more science fiction. That way lies Jetsons territory. So Starscream does his part and lures Megatron into a secret Autobot power station in the sewer, which is exactly the sort of thing the Autobots are always doing, hiding things in human filth. Naturally, Megatron falls for it immediately, and is frozen solid, along with Starscream, who thought he had an escape plan. For a backstabbing little prick, he's awfully trusting, that guy. Now here's where the episode takes a serious turn for the stupid. Yes, even stupider than let's take over the Decepticons because we got mad at a statue of Megatron. Blitzwing and Astrotrain, now in unquestioned control of the Decepticons, decide that the one thing that was lacking under the Megatron administration was ridiculously convoluted schemes inspired by humans. Blitzwing makes a football stadium his headquarters and names the coach his second-in-command. I'd have gone with Soundwave or Thundercracker, but hey, whatever. Meanwhile, Astrotrain settles at a train station and creates an army of mindless train drones, which, if you think about it, is even stupider than the 2 different times Megatron's created an army of car drones. At least those had the freedom of motion beyond a straight track. Let's step back for a minute and look at what's really going on here. Blitzwing, football. Astrotrain, railroad. The writer of this episode just saw the words blitz and train and formed his plot around that, didn't he? Ugh. Blitzwing's second-in-command offers up zone defense as military advice, so naturally that means some kind of bizarre death maze surrounding the stadium. Insert hilarious joke about the traffic around your city's sports arena here. I gotta say, though, as dumb as it is, watching Blitzwing threaten and torture this football coach is legitimately funny. But he's not vowing to smear his brains out on the wall, he keeps him sealed inside a locker, which almost certainly reeks of athlete BO. Awesome. Next, Coach offers up the long bomb as advice, which Blitzwing takes to mean fire randomly into the air and destroy things. I approve of this, though I think it's stretching things to call it a strategy. Oh, and Blitzwing invents some kind of arbitrary scoring system for his essentially random mayhem. Seriously, it's like trying to follow tennis scores. It makes no sense at all. Naturally, we can't just show the bad guys destroying stuff, so the Autobots show up eventually. Here we're greeted with a very rare appearance by the Autobot Skids. He's the van. I think his one line of dialogue here is all he gets for the entire series, which is kind of sad. I gotta admit, as stupid as the premise is, the resulting carnage inside the zone defense is kind of cool. Watching the Autobots helplessly lost inside a maze until they either crash into each other or get blown away by Blitzwing is kind of badass. Then he flattens them into barely recognizable scrap. Also cool. Meanwhile, Astrotrain uses his mighty trains to collect electricity. Which is kind of cool, but Blitzwing is definitely doing better with his stupid football nonsense.
It's hard to get good help these days.
Wow, that was almost that stupid Flintstones "it's a living" joke. Almost. Back at Blitzwing headquarters, all the Constructicons but Scrapper are lost inside the zone defense. Oops. But Blitzwing built himself this badass throne out of the corpses of his enemies, which I gotta be honest is cooler than anything Megatron has done so far. Unfortunately, that Tattletale power glide gets involved, and uses his bird's eye view to guide a few Autobots successfully through the maze. One of them is Smokescreen, so we probably know where this is going. Back at the train yard, some Decepticons show up to taunt Astrotrain, who claims to be their new leader. He tries to show off his Astro Force, which is the name he's given the zombie train army, but they're a bunch of idiots. We get a lot of shtick about how dumb they are, which nobody cares about. Go back to the Throne of Corpses. Oh, and among the taunters is Starscream. Yeah, the trains aren't the only retards. Animators, I'm looking in your direction. Astrotrain's battalion of retarded trains breaks a water main, which somehow forces water into the airtight chamber where Megatron and Starscream were frozen. So they get out, and Starscream immediately says he had nothing to do with any of this.
You are either lying or you're stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
Man, dude, a little dignity? Please? Seriously. Wait, now here's Spike saying that Megatron and Starscream are back. Did he even know they were gone? He and Optimus weren't even in the rest of this episode. Okay, I guess somebody just lost some script pages along the way. Can't blame this on the stupidity of Optimus Prime. But how about when he tries to stop the flood by shooting into it, nearly drowning the human friend that was just standing right next to him? Yep, that's the Prime we all know and can't wait to drop dead. Oh, and Prime saves the unconscious Spike's life with his air conditioning. Wait, what? Trailbreaker ends up using his force field to stop the water. Does this count as a rainbow sighting? It's been a while. Meanwhile, back in the part of the story we care about, the Constructicons turn against Blitzwing. Then Astrotrain, Megatron, and Starscream show up. Then the water's diverted to the stadium, so the stage is set for a grand mud wrestling throwdown. It's not as much fun as you might think. Oh, there's a last-minute twist where Devastator tries to take over, but by this point we all know not to be afraid of that giant green and purple failure. Naturally, Megatron ends up on top.
The Decepticon cause supersedes personal vengeance.
And that, to quote a very wise teacher, is why you fail. And now it's time for this week's science lesson. Absolute zero is the temperature at which all motion stops on a molecular level. And apparently, despite it not actually being a tangible thing, you can just put it in pipes.
Tell you what, guys, why don't you go build a bridge and jump off it?